decision based on what you're going to do. In our case, I want to block the message because I don't want people sending social security numbers over chat. And so we'll just go ahead and hit block message. Now from here, you'll select all the things it's going to apply to. Does it apply to internal or external conversations, spaces, chats, or one-on-one chats, and things like that? And in addition to that, you can also give a message to your user if they're being warned or blocked. So in my case, I'm going to use a custom message. And it says your message may contain sensitive content like, I'm going to put a social security number that shouldn't be shared based on your organization's policies. Edit as needed, check your admin if it doesn't seem right. Okay. And then we also are going to set this up for Google Drive. And here, if I have a file with something that looks like a social security number, do I want to block external sharing, warn on external sharing, or disable download, print, and copying for commenters and viewers? In our case, I'm going to go ahead and block external sharing because I don't want any files with social security numbers being sent outside of our organization. And then we have alerting. When the event matches this rule criteria, the event is going to be reported in the security dashboard and the alert center if applicable. What level of events should it be reported under? If this rule fires, is this considered a low event, or is this considered a medium or a high event? Well, because we're talking about data getting out, and this isn't the most critical of data, we probably want to have this set at something like a medium. But again, this is a risk-based decision that your organization will come to. And then in addition to that, you can also send to the alert center by sending additional detailed analysis so your system administrators are able to go ahead and take care of this issue. And in addition to that, you can also email them, but we're not going to do that because we're going to let our cybersecurity workforce take care of going through all those alerts and taking care of those themselves. And then we'll hit continue. And from here, you see all the details of what we just configured. And then we're going to go all the way to the bottom, and then we will set it to be active. Now, this rule is in effect. And if somebody tries to upload a file with a social security number or tries to send a social security number over Google Chat, it will be blocked and it will then take the actions that we specified in this rule. Now, the second thing we need to set up is one for Gmail. Gmail is located in a separate place, but it's still underneath this admin dashboard. To access it, we're going to go on the left side under admin. We're going to click on apps, and then we're going to go to Google Workspace, and then we're going to click on Gmail, which is located about halfway down. Once you're there, you're going to go down and scroll on the right-hand side all the way down to compliance. And under compliance, you will find our DLP features. Now from here, we have this turned on for everyone. And right now you can see that email and chat auto deletion is currently not set. Optical character recognition is turned on. Comprehensive mail storage is turned on. And then we have other things as we go down. Now, as we go down towards the bottom, we're going to be able to see that there's one called content compliance, and that is what they call DLP inside of Gmail. So what we're going to do is hit configure. And from here, we're going to say what is required. What are we going to call this? So we're going to say this is blocking SSNs being sent by email. And then we're going to say, what is it going to affect? Well, I just said we're sending it. So we're going to set this as an outbound rule. If somebody wants to send me an inbound social security number, we'll accept it, but we're not going to be responsible for sending those out. Then we're going to add an expression that describes the content we want to search for. And again, there are all of these preset things that we can use. We can use a simple content match, an advanced content match, a metadata match, or predefined content. And in our case, we're going to use predefined content, and it already selected United States Social Security number for me by default, probably because that is what we just used in the other rule. So it's guessing that's probably what I want. And then you'll see it also has a confidence threshold here, and we could set that again from high, medium, low, etc. I personally liked it to have a high threshold, so I'm going to set that there, and then I'm going to hit save. Now from here, I can scroll down, and we can see if any of the expressions above match, what action do we want to have? Do we want to modify the message? Do we want to route it? Do we want to mark it as spam? Do we want to deliver it to somebody else? Do we want to encrypt it? All sorts of different options that we can choose. And if you go here, you can also reject the message, quarantine the message, etc. So in this case, we might quarantine the message anytime we find a social security number, and then we can notify the sender when the mail is quarantined. So they know, hey, we have not sent this email out because it's in quarantine, and they know that the other person they sent it to is not going to get that message. And then we can hit save. And from here, we now have a new rule that's been applied here in content compliance. That's it. Now at this point, we have two rules set up. We have one that's set up for our chat and our Google Drive to help prevent something sensitive like a social security number from being sent. And we've also set up the same thing inside of Gmail. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is this thing called the data loss prevention demo that Google gives you access to inside of your account. In here, you actually can see a sample email message up top. Notice we have the welcome text and it's all this information. At the bottom, we have what they call the findings. So using this sample, we can see on line 5, for example, strings like this one produce a phone number finding. Please call me. My phone number is 555-253-0000. If you look down below, the first finding is a very likely hi, and the string was 555-253-0000. So this says, yes, this was a phone number. We believe it's a phone number. And looking at this, we believe it's a phone number too. As we go through the rest of this, you will see that it's parsing the information to find any kind of information that it thinks is there, like email addresses, credit card numbers, domain names, and things like that. And as we scroll through here, you'll probably see a couple of those, like the email address right here, like the credit card number right here, like the national provider identity right here. And you'll see that's down here as well, with these highly likely as either a US driver's license or a healthcare ID. And you have all the kind of information as you go through. Now, if I go in here and I add something, for example, I say something like, this is my social security number, and I put something like 432-12-1234, you will now see down below the second finding is a US social security number and is very likely high, and it thinks that that is a social security number because it takes the social security number format of 3 digits, then 2 digits, then 4 digits. Now, if I take out the words social security in front of the number, you're going to notice that the one at the bottom is no longer going to recognize this as a high likelihood of being a social security number. And here you'll see that social security dropped off our findings, but if I go a little bit further down, you'll see it will show up again down here, but now it's unlikely and low. Why is that? Well, because it's just a 9-digit number separated by some dashes, and they don't know if it's something like an identification number, a social security number, an employee ID, or anything else. It's just a number at this point. Now, if I take away the word number and I type in SSN, again, you'll notice that the social security number is going to pop right back up as very likely. Now, the other thing I've noticed in this is if you play with some numbers like 123-45-6789, this is still showing up as a social security number because it's in that format and has the word SSN. But again, if I take this away, my identification number, now you'll see it's going to go away from that and it's going to look like something else. And now it's a possible medium for social security instead of a low or a high based on what it's seeing. So this is a great way to play with your data loss prevention tool and see what will and what will not get caught based on this system. For example, if I type something like jason@diontraining and don't put the .com, it's probably not going to realize that that is actually an email, and it doesn't. Instead of being an email, they think it is my person's name. But my name is not Jason@diontraining, it's Jason Dion. And so that's the way that this DLP stuff works. It's scanning it, it's looking at context, it's looking at what you've chosen, and it's figuring out what should be blocked or what should not be blocked based on the rules you set up in your data loss prevention system.